Heartbreak. It's something that happens to all of us at least once in our lives, and it's something that I've been asked about more and more recently. You know, I've had people in my DMs, in my comments, etc. saying like, hey, somebody just broke up with me, somebody just rejected me, etc. How do I deal with this? Now, keep in mind, I'm not a relationship specialist or therapist of any kind. I'm just some dude that makes videos on the internet, sits in his room playing video games all day, and has been single for 6 years now because I finally realized my worth and realized that, at least for the time being, I'm simply better alone. So we'll kind of break this down, right? So first things first, let's go ahead and address breakups. So when somebody breaks up with you, it is one of the worst feelings in the entire universe. You know, you spend all this time, possibly money, and energy on this person for so long, thinking that nothing can ever break it, and then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. You get that text, you get that call. I mean, if they do it over the phone, that's kind of petty, but you know what I mean. Or just however it happens, they end up breaking up with you. And, you know, I know it's really easy in that moment to just focus on all the negative feelings and all the negative thoughts. And you know what? That is completely human, and that is completely okay. You know, I know some people will kind of try to be all positive about it and be like, no, there's never a good time to mope. You should always be positive, try to keep your head up. And, you know, I always say that stuff as well, but, you know, we're human beings and we all feel emotions at the end of the day. And emotions aren't just one thing like, oh, I'm happy right now and that's that, or oh, I'm a little upset right now and that's that. No, emotions are like a wide spectrum of all these different, well, emotions, and deep grieving and sadness is one of them. So honestly, when the breakup first happens, it is okay if you want to sit in your room, turn your lights out, blare the music so loud that the neighbors call the cops, and just sit there like drowning in your own tears. That is completely okay. Now, what is not okay is if those thoughts lead you to darker places, which at that point, obviously, I'd always recommend calling a hotline, getting in touch with a therapist or a mental health professional of some kind, or calling 911 if you do ever have those kinds of thoughts, because first off, you never want to let somebody else affect your emotional state to such a point of where you are considering hurting yourself. That is simply unhealthy and gets into the whole codependency territory, which we could, I guess, kind of touch on for a minute, right? Like the whole codependency, being so reliant on another person for your happiness and your ability or your desire to even live your life. That is so unhealthy and is unfortunately becoming more and more common these days. Before getting into a relationship, you should be so happy with yourself, so satisfied with yourself, and love yourself enough to a point where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm actually good on my own. I don't need anybody else. But like, hey, if I had somebody else in my life, that would be cool. Like, it would just kind of add to this little empire I have going. That would just be like another cool part of my life. You know, like, I want that company. So if you're at that point, cool. But if you're at that point where it's like, okay, I need somebody else, or there's this person that I really love and I need them in my life, otherwise I just feel like I'm gonna go insane. Like, to a certain extent, yes, that's just kind of what love is. So part of it is healthy, but what, you know, there's like that fine line in the sand where it's like, okay, I absolutely need this person or else I'm gonna go insane. That's kind of unhealthy. But if it's like, I just really want this person in my life, but I know deep down I could manage if they'd ever leave, that's healthy. Is it kind of messed up to think of it in a way like, okay, I love this person, but if they leave, I'd be okay? Yeah, in a way it sounds messed up, but I'm sorry. That's healthy. On social media and in movies nowadays, people romanticize this insane idea of like, oh, it's me and you, ride or die, babe. Like, seriously, if you ever leave me, I'm gonna like die. Like, that is so unhealthy. And I hate the fact that social media romanticizes that idea of a relationship so much, because that's not healthy at all. But even while you're grieving and even while you're sad, I need you to remember that you existed for however many years you were alive before you got into that relationship, before you met that person, and you were doing just fine. Granted, bad things always happen in everybody's life, so you could try to be the drama queen like a lot of people try to do, and do the whole what's it, like, depression or oppression Olympics or whatever, where it's like, oh no, because I've been through this and this. Sure, you've been through that, but listen, I've been through this and this. I was not doing okay. But on a baseline, you're alive right now, you're watching this video, there's food in your stomach, there's clothes on your back, you have internet access, there's a roof over your head, you're probably laying in bed or sitting at a computer chair or doing something, you have a device to use, like, you are fine. You're alive, you're breathing, your needs are met, you're clearly surviving, you are okay. So you were okay, at least on a baseline, without that person for however many years, which means that you will be okay again at some point in the future. And also, I know it can be tempting as soon as a breakup happens to go running back to a person and be like, hey, I'm sorry that I did this and this and this, let's make up, I'm sorry, you know, let's get back together, let's fix this, I love you, oh, huggy buggy wuggy duggy. But that's also not good, because it's sort of in the same territory of like the whole codependency thing, where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go insane without this person, except it's to the extent of when, you know, you don't really know when it's time to just let something go, because that is also a real thing, you know, even if everything is, you know, it's sunshine and roses when the relationship first starts. Sometimes relationships just kind of crumble over time, and it takes a certain level of maturity, but also respect for not just the other person, but respect for yourself to realize that, you know, if you're at that point of like, okay, you know what, this just simply isn't working anymore, we're not compatible anymore. You don't want to force a relationship that simply isn't working. If a relationship ends, it's for a reason. That's one thing that I always say. Anytime anybody talks to me about like, oh, I really want to get back with my ex, or we broke up because of this and this, I always say, they are your ex for a reason. There is sometimes certain circumstances, right? Like, I know I've had, like, certain teenagers talk to me about it, and they'll be like, oh, you know, their parents weren't comfortable with the relationship, so we broke up for one reason or another, or it's just like, okay, school's, like, a lot right now, so we broke up because this, and this, or, you know, they're moving away, so, you know, it wouldn't work for now, this, that, or the other. Like, that's kind of a different situation, whatever, but for the most part, if a breakup happened and it was for a reason between you two, look, I'm taking the glasses off for this one. Y'all are exes for a reason. Y'all are just not meant to be. I'm actually going to keep the glasses off for a sec, because I just want to get real with you guys, alright? You know, full eye contact here. Sometimes the person that you're with, just because you love them with every fiber of your dude, I actually kind of look weird with the glasses. I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to seeing me without them, but oh my gosh, maybe it's the Asian eyes, I don't know. But anyway, you know, even if you love somebody with every fiber of your being, even if you guys do everything together, that doesn't necessarily mean you guys are meant to be together. You can have the strongest feelings for somebody and think that they are your ride or die, right? Like, they're gonna be there until the day you die. You guys are gonna be together, you know, because there's this kind of corny thing that I always say, where sometimes when you look at a girl and they smile at you, you just see a pretty face. But then there's other girls where when they smile at you, you see a house, you see 2 kids, you see a dog, you see a nice car in the driveway, you see a lot of land in the backyard. You know, you go outside, you just got acres of land for your kids to run around on. You know, you envision this long future together where your kids grow up and you got grandkids, and you see all of this with one girl's smile, or, you know, maybe, you know, if you're, it doesn't matter what way you swing, what gender you are, you know, in whatever person we're talking about, you see all of that in their smile. And even if that is what you're experiencing with the person that you're in love with, it still doesn't mean that they're the one that you're meant to be with, because true love, as I always say, comes from the most unexpected of places. Just because you guys met on a dating app, just because you met at school, just because you met at college, just because you met through mutual friends, just because, like, it doesn't matter where you met, how strong the relationship was, sometimes it simply isn't meant to be. And you know what? Sometimes true love, you want to know where it comes from the most unexpected of places. Sometimes it could come from, oh, I'm going to grab the mail, and then what's this? Some, I don't know, some dude or some ladies, you know, just jogging by, and they have something to say to me, and then we end up talking and exchanging information. It's like, huh, what are the chances that I went outside when that person was? Or maybe it's at the grocery store, or maybe it's when you go get your tire fixed, maybe you get stuck in the waiting room and you end up running into somebody, or maybe it's in the waiting room at a doctor's office, or maybe it's an awkward interaction as you're both leaving the restroom at a restaurant. Like, it could happen anywhere. And that's really, like, one of the most important things to keep in mind, right? Like, if you're one of those people where you just really want to be loved, like, you're already in a healthy spot, you don't really need somebody else, but you just really want somebody else, because that's a very human thing. It's very human to just want somebody there. Like, sometimes you just want a hug. Sometimes you just want some kisses. Sometimes you just want somebody where you know they're always going to be there, and that's that. And you know what? There is 8 billion people on planet Earth. I have seen some ignorantly okay, I'm gonna restrain myself. I've seen some ignorant comments before, like, no, there's not somebody for everybody. Some people just aren't meant to be with other people. And, like, to an extent, I can kind of see where they're coming from, because that's how I feel. I feel like I'm just not a very lovable person in that context. I just feel like I'm kind of meant to be alone, and that's okay. Like, I've made my peace with that. I'm just, you know, it's just, it is what it is. I'm very indifferent right now. Like, if I would ever run into somebody where, like, maybe it could work out, then, like, maybe okay. But, like, at this point, I'm just kind of alone because I know I'm a handful, so I'm not really trying to force myself on anybody, because I know I'm a fucking mess. Let's just put it as it is. So, you know, it's just one of those things where I'm just kind of in this weird in-between. But yeah, you know, it's very human to just, you know, at least want somebody there. And if that's where you're at, just know that there is 8 billion people on planet Earth, okay? Just because this one didn't work out doesn't mean that, you know, the next might not, or that you won't find somebody. Because if you're telling me that of 8 billion, okay, can we count can we count the zeros on that? That is 1, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0. Okay, that's like 1 billion right there. So I'm sorry, I said 1. So, you know, change the 1 to an 8 and also put a comma after that because I forgot that first comma. That's like 9 zeros. Do you like that? That is insane, and it's actually more than 8 billion at this point because more people are being born every day. So yeah, trust me, there's always somebody else out there. And another thing that's really important to remember is that this breakup or this rejection or whatever it is, right? Because that's also like another angle of it, right? Because I feel like rejection and breakups are both two very tricky things to deal with because like while this video is more, I mean, this video is just about heartbreak in general, and heartbreak really contains you know, like rejection, breakups, or anything just sort of, you know, in between there, or just, you know, maybe falling off with somebody for one reason or another. You know, when it comes to the rejection side of things, I feel like it's both easier and harder to move on from simple rejection, because at least with rejection, you don't have as many memories tied to it, or a lot of things that already changed with your life as with a breakup, because obviously your life changes in a lot of ways when you enter a relationship. But as for the rejection side of things, I feel like it's easier to deal with, because it's like, okay, it's like nothing really happened here, so it's okay, I can kind of move on from this, but it still hurts in the sense that your brain lingers on, not even just your brain, but also your heart, you know, kind of like lingers on and builds up all this like hope or anticipation or like hope of something, but then when that hope is ultimately shattered, it kind of like hardens you in a way, you know what I mean, where it's just kind of like, alright, you know what, maybe I should never do that again. But then with breakups, you know, that also has its own thing, so there's like memories tied in there. It breaks your heart all the same, just in slightly different ways. But if there's one thing I could say pertaining to heartbreak in general, which is really the point of this video that I just really wanted to get out there, is the fact that this heartbreak doesn't define you as a person, right? Your heart has probably been broken before, and even if it hasn't, trust me, it'll probably happen again in the future. Just kind of get used to it, especially if you're still in like high school or college or whatever. Like, until you're at the point where you're like out of your 20s, you're gonna get your heart broken and stomped like 5 million times. That's just kind of the life thing. That's how it goes, especially nowadays. So the first step after your heart gets broken is to focus on healing. Let yourself grieve, but then start healing. Start with something simple. Positive affirmations, reminding yourself that you love yourself, doing things to take care of yourself, and just simply getting back in the swing of things and living your life as you normally would. Whether that's binging anime, playing video games, going to the gym, playing sports, fixing cars, it doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy to do, just do that. Get back into your own swing of things and just remind yourself, you know what, it's actually not so bad being alone. I actually like being alone. There's a lot of things. There's more time that I have now. There's more money that I have now. There's more love that I can give to other people now in general. You know, there is positives to breakups, right? Because now let's say like, oh, I wanted to, and this is just like an example here, let's just say that, oh, I wanted to go, I don't know, binge every Persona game over the course of the next 2 months. Well, I couldn't do that because I had a girlfriend before, but oh wait, guess what, we just broke up, so I have all the time in the world. Now I can go binge every Persona game, because each one's like 100 plus hours, so there you go, you know, that's like one positive example. And then once you're done with the healing process, and because during healing, it's kind of that point where you need to figure out, or I guess kind of like refine your love for yourself, right? Just kind of really learn how to love yourself, be happy with yourself, and be happy alone to a point where you really don't need anybody else to be happy. But once you get through that point, you also need to make sure you don't become so cold and closed off to where it's like, okay, somebody broke my heart before, I was either rejected or they broke up with me, or like, you know, whatever happened to you specifically. Don't let that cut you off and let you turn cold, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm being a bit of a hypocrite right now, because that's what I've done. You know, I'm a very cold person now. If I'm gonna be honest, like it's just one of those things where I'm very closed off, right? Like it's kind of like a push and pull, because I'm very loving to people. Like, I give a lot of my love, care, and energy to people. That's why I make these videos in the first place, just because I love connecting with people. I love being there for people. I love putting my energy into helping people, entertaining people, doing whatever I can just to kind of take the load of the hell of life off their shoulders. You know what I mean? That's just, you know, that's just how I am. But when it comes to like more lovey type things, and just even with like on a simpler level, even with like friends, for example, I'm definitely a bit more closed off. So I'm being a bit of a hypocrite right now. But don't let it close yourself off, and don't become stone cold and just kind of don the lone wolf persona. I'm sorry, that's hard to say for some reason. Because that's kind of what I've done. When I think of myself, I think of the lone wolf howling at the moon at night, and that's just, you know, that's just kind of how I am. The lone wolf of the pack, just kind of doing my own thing. But don't, again, let the breakup define you, or don't let yourself kind of fall into that trap. It's okay to open yourself back up and fall in love again or find somebody else. We're human at the end of the day, and emotions change. Just because emotions change for somebody else and they decided that, you know, they wanted to break up with you or something doesn't mean that your emotions need to change and you need to lock down entirely and never love again. No, it just means that, okay, things didn't work out with this person, but I'm gonna take some time to heal, and then I'll open myself back up, and then, you know, maybe one day you'll find somebody. And regardless of whether you find that person today, tomorrow, in a week, in a year, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you know that you love yourself, that you respect yourself, that you're happy with yourself, and that's it. As long as you're happy on your own, and as long as you can get to that point, that's really all that matters. And when that time comes, yeah, you know, it's all good to open yourself up again. We're only human at the end of the day, so it's normal to, yes, want some time to yourself, but it's also normal to open yourself back up when the time comes. There is one final thing I wanted to touch on that isn't necessarily correlated with anything else, but I mean, like, it kind of is, right? It's not necessarily tied to heartbreak, but it's still something that I feel like more people need to hear just because I hear about it a lot. If you're in a talking stage or a relationship, or, you know, it doesn't really matter what your situation is. If you're in a relationship like that and you feel like the other person isn't necessarily giving you that same energy back, or isn't giving you the love back, or let's say, like, for example, you guys have been dating for a while and everything was going good for a while, but then it gets to this point, like a few months in or whatever, where, you know, you're talking to this girl, you're talking to this guy, and it just seems like they aren't putting the effort in anymore. Like, you're putting all this energy in to meet them at their heart space, but on their end, they're only meeting you halfway, right? Like, you're going the full distance to meet them at their heart space, and they're coming in like halfway, maybe not even. That's something that I've had people talk to me about so many times before, because that's how it goes, right? Like, sometimes people love bomb you at the start. That's actually a very common manipulation tactic, and is unfortunately becoming much more common these days. If you aren't aware of what love bombing is, it's essentially where they throw an egregiously disgusting amount of love and compliments and just everything, right? Making you think that they are like the dream person from the very beginning. But then as time goes on, it just kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, one of those meme stock graphs where over time it just kind of slowly goes down and down until they kind of become like a piece of shit. So yeah, if you're with a piece of shit, no bueno. Get out of there immediately. Sometimes heartbreak isn't just about breaking your own heart or, you know, having your heart broken, but sometimes you gotta break hearts in order to save your own heart. Anyways, yeah, I don't want to yap for too long. I feel like I've said everything that I basically wanted to say. You know, if I could just kind of sum it up again at the end, you know, it's okay to sad and grieve. Don't let people tell you that it's not okay. It's very human. If you're going through a breakup or heartbreak, it's fine to be sad and grieve, but after the sadness and grieving is over, and once you feel ready, it's important to focus on healing, being happy with yourself, loving yourself, respecting yourself, and it's also important not to let that breakup define you, and don't become like a cold, closed-off lone wolf, you know what I mean? If you do find somebody else that you end up loving again down the line, or that loves you, or that you'd be open to talking with and possibly getting into a relationship with, it's okay to open yourself back up. Again, we're human. It's normal to want those things, and it's also normal to want some space sometimes. That's just kind of how we're wired to be. It just depends on the circumstances, depends what happened to us. And another important tidbit is that with this experience comes wisdom. With all of the pain and things that happen to you in life, it's not like, oh, this bad thing happened to me, and now I'm, you know, and now I'm traumatized. Now I'm scarred for life. Now I can't do this, and this. No. When you go through literally anything in life, even if it's something as basic as going through a McDonald's drive-thru, you are gaining literal real-life XP. You are literally leveling up every time that you complete a day IRL. It's just giving you more wisdom to know and to utilize and, you know, put into other things in the future. But with all that being said, I hope that this helps somebody in some way, and just know that if you are struggling with heartbreak at the moment, or if, you know, there's anything going on, just know that you will get through this. This probably isn't your first heartbreak. This probably isn't your first time being confused by a relationship. You got through it before. You'll get through it again. Does it suck? Yes. But will you be okay? Of course. Most definitely, 100%. And if you're looking for things to do to maybe help you with the heartbreak, again, as I mentioned before, whether that's like, you know, binging anime, playing video games, listening to music or whatever, but there's also other basic things you can do, right? Like if you have like a comfort YouTuber or streamer or TikToker or whatever, I'd be careful with the TikToks, don't want to rot your brain, but just, you know, sometimes having that bit of like a parasocial relationship where you just like watch your favorite content creator for a while and just kind of listen to them shoot the shit, or, you know, hang out with a streamer for a while or whatever. Like sometimes that's really all you need to give you a bit of a pick-me-up. Just do whatever you got to do to help yourself. But anyway, yeah. That's that. But anyways, always massive shout out to the Patrons, and to remember singing on the Global Team, never shout out the Global Team, my last game, dead man in the channel on DT, run of a little cheese girl. Thank you guys so much, guys. You're little legends. I love you. Korani Dodaki Arigato Gozaimasu. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.